Okay, hello guys, welcome to week 6. I hope that last week was good for you. Let's start with week 6 introduction, what we have for this week, and we are going to have a short discussion for this week. I did not add it yet. I'm going to add it after the class when I add the recording at the same time. So we are going to talk about the art of content creation, about the digital camera and the film cameras. We are going to talk about the advantages of digital cameras, how it's like important in digital filmmaking, and all that things together. And also, we are going to talk about the experimental short film because our second project that due on week 10 exactly, your second project will be experimental short film. So we are going to talk about the that types of films, how it's different than documentary, and also the history of this film. We are going to talk about the how to create that film. What is the idea of creating that film? We have also, I just added about this film, some links that it's going to be good to look at it. It's just some supported link. So we have the first one is talking about what is the experimental films. It's going to give you an idea about the film, the definition of that film, all that things. And also we have this one, how to create one, how to create that types of films. And also we have the history of film. We are going to talk about the experimental and the documentary film from 1929 until yet. And also we have, I added two links from YouTube for you. It's talking about how to create the these types of films. Also, it's like two short videos, not that long. You can have an idea about how to create these types of films. Okay, so many things that we are going to discuss today. The first thing that we are going to go with is the introduction that we talked about. This one here. Okay, so we will have, we will talk about the art of content creation. We are going to talk about the editing possibilities because we did editing with Adobe Premiere, and I explained how to do Adobe After Effects. So in these types of films, sometimes it's a good idea to have to add an effects to your films. Okay, let's start first talking about the experimental films because it's our project. It's more important than anything for this week because I want you to take an idea about these types of films. And after that, we are going to have like a workshop next week. We are going to do a short film. I'm going to bring all the assets, all the footage that you need to put on your film, and we are going to create that together, like ideas how to create one. If you don't have an experience with these types of films. So let's go first with the experimental films. Did you hear before about these types of films, Julian?
What was the film again?
The experimental.
Mm, not really. Is it basically just like cited projects that they usually use
Okay,
to?
did you look at experimental film before?
No, I have
Let's
not.
let's go
Sorry.
to YouTube. It's going to be that's fine. We are going to learn that, so don't worry about it. That's why you are taking this filmmaking because you are going to learn about like many types of films, all that thing. Okay? So these all like experimental films. And also there is a modern art about the experimental films. So we are going to go together. We will know what is the definition, all that things. Do you heard about this before? You can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
I'm on YouTube.
Um,
Did you see?
Wait, what does that say? Avant-garde?
Yeah,
Not really.
avant-garde. So we will talk. Let's look at this one because it's going to be a good example about like short experimental film. Let's look at that together just to take an idea. Maybe you will understand it before we start talking about it. You cannot hear these sounds, right?
No, I can't hear.
Okay, that's fine. You don't need to. It's just the music.
I'm guessing it focuses more on like effects.
Yes, it's more
Okay.
like effects and also it's type of films if you are going to discuss something like uh, some mental illness with that, like overthinking, something like that, it's going to be a great ideas for these types of films. You can choose whatever you like. We are going to talk about everything about this type of films, but did you see how did they explain the overthinking in the way you can see that? It's like,
I feel like a movie that could be similar to experimental is like Get Out. Ever heard of that one?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
I feel like that could be one because
yes,
one of the women uh was like hypnotizing one of the main characters into
yeah,
like quit to smoke and everything.
yes. So
Yeah.
these are like types of films. So we will need After Effects more than Premiere in this type of films because we are going to add effects. So like this here, we can create it in After Effects. We don't need to have the real thing. So look at this one, the body, like these types of films. It's going to be great ideas about experimental films. I'm going also to add with the discussion with the video today. I'm going to add some of these links. See the darkness, the confusion, all of them like something like mental health or an anxiety. You can explain an anxiety, overthinking, all these things together. So It's going to be very interested type of films. Okay, so these types of films also known avant-garde cinema. You saw that in front of the word in YouTube right now. It's a mode of filmmaking that challenges traditional narratives, techniques, aesthetics, all that things together. Okay? It's not the idea of creating commercial films that often use like storylines, character development, entertainment value. Experimental films seek to explore the possibilities of cinema as an art form. They often use visuals, they often use audio, so the audio part will be very important part in this film, in this type of filmmaking, because when you explain something like any, let's say, an anxiety or a type of fear, type of whatever you are explaining, when you add a music match to that scene, it's going to be great because people will feel it. One of my students before, she created an experimental film about bullying, and she added also like a type of real stories for people, but she did not like bring the real people. She had a model who created all these scenes for her, like all the shots. So she had a model and she told the model to do this, 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 and she shots everything. And also in these types of films, it's great to have videos and photos together. Some of these films, you can look at your screen, you can see a photo. It's like your screen in two parts exactly. One of them is a photo and the other one is a video. Okay, so these things, like let's say overthinking that we just looked at, you can put a photo on this side of the screen, okay, the right side of a person who is like thinking about something, just like a photo, not a video. And on the other side, on the other half of your screen, you can add the video, what this guy is thinking of. So you can create it in many ways, and you will have fun with this type of films because you are going to explain something, okay? And you are going to send a message to people, but it's not a commercial message. Let's stay on this one, okay? So the audio, the moving images, sounds, visual, audio, all that things are very important parts of your experimental film. I'm going to add around, I have these links. I think I have 7 links of the best idea. Let's say the best idea or a great ideas about films. You are going to look at them and you will have your idea at the same time. What we have for this week, we are going to have a discussion. You will explain your film idea. What are you going to do for your film? And we will go through that week after week until it's due on week 10. Okay? So, the experimental filmmaker might employ methods such as like non-linear storytelling, abstract images or imagery, the absence of narrative or the use of innovative sounds and designs and editing like techniques. So you can have in your film a Just like, let's say, you are doing something about an anxiety and you are going to add an effect on After Effects that is moving your video or moving your screen in a way that you can give a feeling of an anxiety. Okay, so these ideas called abstract imagery. You are giving some imagination to people while there is nothing there about this imagination. It's just an effect giving you the feeling of an anxiety, of overthinking, or whatever are you talking about. Okay, so this type of films. The goal of these films, there are like some goals of these types of films, but the goal can range from creating emotional experience to like put it together the very nature of the cinema itself. Okay, so it's put that emotional with the nature of the cinema itself. You are creating something by using the way of the cinema, but you are sending emotional experience. It can be about yourself. It can be about something else. It can be about a story you heard before. When you have a real story in your mind, you can explain it in your video in a great way. You don't have to create a story for these types of films from zero. Okay, let's do just like what we did in the documentary. You can have a real story for this film and you can explain this real story in this type of film. Okay? Okay, and these types of film had a rich history with roots in the early 20th century and includes many movements and filmmakers. There are many filmmakers too, and there is a figures such as the Harkaj, Maya Deren, if you heard about these people, Anger, Kenneth Anger too. So started in 20th century and later with these figures, these types of experimental cinemas continue. It's continuous to evolve with digital technology, online platforms offering new ways for artists to create and distribute their work. It's often intersects with other art forms, just like dance, painting, performance arts, reflecting its chords, pop, and the diversity of these types of films. I had students before in Cairo, Egypt in 2010 or 11. I'm not sure what year it was. He was creating experimental films by dancing exactly. So he had a friend, a very great dancer friend, and they were working together by explaining an anxiety through dancing, depression through dancing. So they are adding videos of dancing and also effects, audio effects for that type. So when you look at these types of dancing or these types of videos, you can feel exactly the topic that they are talking about. They did great projects before. about depression. It was for the final project at that time through dancing. It was the best film making that I saw in all my life because they explained all that through dancing, through one person who was dancing in the video with some effects, with some audios. So it was great. You can explain that through your these types of films. I had another student, he was a great painter and he was creating videos of doing paints, also something about mental illness like sadness or something like that. And he was doing the painting, and after that, he was taking this painting process that it's maybe take 3 days or like work on it for 3 days. And he was taking that video and make it faster in Adobe After Effects and then create a message. And one of the videos that he created about sadness, he was trying, doing painting for a face of a child who was sad. So when you saw the whole process and you saw the look, the sight of that guy at the end with the sadness on his face, it's a great idea to create these types of films by using another type of arts like paintings, performance arts, all that things. You can do that by using the digital photography. You can just have types of photography. Let's say that you are talking about the feelings of person through time. So the first photograph that you are going to do is someone smiling, and then the second photograph you can do for, let's say, a relative of that someone who is sick or ill, and then another image or another photograph about that guy, that like relatives who died. It just like not, maybe you can do it not a real idea. Or if you know someone like a friend or someone who had a hard time or a sad time after like the death of his grandmother or something like that, you can explain that through images, through photography too. You can explain that through videography. You can bring anyone to videograph or photograph that. For this film, I don't want anyone to use something from the internet like free images or so. You can use it, you still can use it, but I would like you to create your own because I want you to think about what are you going to do, how are you going to do it, all these steps together, and it's going to be great at the end. It's going to be great for you. Okay? So that's what I want you to do with this type of films. Okay? These types, these techniques and ideas developed within the avant-garde cinema have been adapted by more and many more filmmakers because uh, they are enriching the visual and narrative language of cinema at this time. So they want to do more of these types of films. There is examples, for example, like the use of jump cuts, non-linear narratives, and mixed media were once considered radical but are now and various forms of visual storytelling. So it's going to be a great idea to work with your own assets or with your own footage. Okay, so this is the type of films, and these types of films, like creating these types of films, involves with a blend of creativity. You are going to be creative because you are creating something that is sending message. Okay, so a blend of a creativity, a blend of technical skills. Uh, you can break away the way of storytelling and filmmaking techniques by using real things right now. Okay, it's not a commercial things, or it's not like something that's not real. It's real. It's a real film. You are going to explain and experiment into your film. Okay, and that's why it's called experimental films. Okay, let's go together to learn about how to create these types of films. You are going to conceptualize your vision. You need to find like inspiration, something inspires you. Look to other art forms, look at personal experience. You can explain also your dreams. One of my students also before, he explained his dream of falling. He explained that in this film. It's an experience that he has. So it can be about uh, psychological concepts, it can be about social issues, it can be about anything. So you need to find the inspiration for you to create this film. And after that, you are going to define your intent. You need to decide what you want to explore or what you want to express in your film. This could range from abstract concepts, emotional status, critique of social norms, whatever you want to do. After that, you are going to do your research because you need to delve into the history of uh, these types of cinema or these types of films to understand the different styles and techniques that have been used before. Right now, I'm giving you an ideas about what students did before. I'm going to add more other ideas through the YouTube links, and also you are going to do your research. You need to search about all that, all styles, all techniques, all ideas, because you know you are going to have unlimited information by your research. That's so important because you will have rich information inside your mind to do it. Okay? Also, you are going after that to plan and develop your ideas. You need to write your ideas. You need to sketch your ideas, whatever you feel comfortable with. Okay? It's not, you don't need, actually, you don't need storytelling, let's say in this way. You don't need a whole storytelling for this type of films. You can use it, but you don't need it. some of your ideas, you can just write it. You can do that way, or you can sketch it. But always try to put all what you have on your minds on paper, always. And keep this paper, let's say, close to you or with you wherever you go in school, on your desk, on your work, and home, because sometimes we get some ideas, but we don't put it in writing or we don't sketch it. So we will lose some of these ideas. To do it in the best way, you just need to keep your ideas. Okay? And you are going to plan, you are going to develop by writing, and after that, you are going to consider the form and content. Think about how the form of your film, such as its structure, visual style, sounds, can reflect its content. Experimentation with form is the base, is the most critical things of these types of films. After that, you are going to experiment with techniques. So you will think about your visuals. You are going to experiment with different shooting techniques, such as playing with lighting, using cameras, many cameras angles. Uh, you can incorporate like animation. You can consider using found footage or whatever on the internet. But I would like you to create your own ideas. You can still use it, just I said that, but I would like to see what type of content that you are going to create. You may create something and bring images, all that things from the internet, but you are going to do it in a great way. You are going to explain it in a great way. That's fine too. What do you think, Julian? Are you going to use something or you are going to create your own? Both are right. So whatever you like.
I'm not entirely sure, but I do have an idea what I'm about to create though.
That's great. It's a great things that you are having an idea right now because we just talked about it and you said that you did not think about it before or hear about it before. So it's a great. That's mean you are a great filmmaker because you got the idea like in a second. Okay? So it's a great. So, but you did not decide if you are going to use images or videos now, right?
I will use videos though, yeah.
That's a great too. Here you go. You have your assignments ready, right? You have your project here ready. You
Not
know,
yet.
yeah. Do you know what is the most important part and let's say the most complex part for students sometimes they don't know what to do. When you have the idea, that's mean you have the half of what you are going to create.
I
Because
guess
yeah,
I guess how they would be able to execute it, like maybe like you know how in the video you show like the girl was like having everything float around her. I feel
yeah.
like those type of situations students could have like a little struggle on trying to figure out how they could do it that way and how to
It's so easy to do it with After Effects. So next class, next next week, we are going to work on that, how to do these effects, how to make this uh like let's say it was something flying around her, we are going to do that together. So you don't need to
Gotcha.
think about the technique of like the production technique because we will go through that together. And if you have any question about what type of techniques that you want to do, you just need to send me an email. Okay, I want to do this one. How can I do it with Adobe After Effects? I'm going to explain that for you. I'm going to record the video for you how to do that with After Effects. Whatever feeling, whatever thing that you are thinking about. Okay? So don't
Gotcha.
worry about the production technique because we are going to go through that together. Okay? While you have your idea, which is great, that's the most important part. How we explain it on our video, it's going to be another part, which is not that complex. Okay, and there are many ways to work with After Effects. We can create like a complex effects, all that, and we can keep it simple. You don't need to have complex video at the end. You just need to have like basic movement, basic flying, basic all that things. You don't need to go so deep with that. So don't worry about editing because it's not going to be complex for you. Okay? Okay.
Got it.
After that, when you think about your visuals, do you know what? You can create effects, let's say, not only inside After Effects. You can create it in your real life by doing something, by playing with lighting. If you are going to play with lighting, like moving of the light on the top of the person, it's going to give you an effect, right? Many films, many movies that we are watching, it's going to give us effects through, let's say, playing with lighting. You can do that, like playing with lighting. We can do that inside After Effects too. It's not have to be in real life. We can do both. So whatever effect that you think about, sometimes we can do it just with After Effects. Sometimes we can do it in real life, just like playing with lighting. Okay? You can use many cameras angles and you can add animation effects, all these things that there. Okay? This sound is a crucial element of these types of films. Okay? Because you are going to give the emotion, you are going to give the feeling, you are going not to give exactly because you already giving that through your video, through your images, but you are going to make your idea stronger. So if you have a fear scene and you are going to add a fear sound, it's going to be so strong at the end. You are adding strength to your scene. Okay? So that's the thing that you need to think about. Also, the editing, you can do many editing ideas. Let's say you can work with sequences, with looped sequences. Uh, some of uh, like students just use many types of feelings through many sequences of images and make them fast, all that things together. Okay, so you can do it in many different ways. Just a second. Okay, so Mr. Adam, my little one, was here and he wants to come to charge his iPad. Okay, I told them, okay, Adam, I have a class right now. Okay, so the editing technique will be also an important part. Your visuals is an important, your sound is a crucial element because we are going to have effects, visual effects, see what's going on by our eyes, and also we are going to hear what's going on. So it's going to be like a great effect inside us. We hear it, we see it. It's going to be a great things inside us. Okay? So you are going to put all that things together. It's going to be a success if you have these ideas in your minds, these techniques, these research on your mind. It's going to be great at the end. Okay, let's take a break for 10 minutes and let's meet at 6 p.m. Okay, Julian?
Gotcha.
Okay. Okay, hello again. You here, Julian?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about these types of films, how it did it start, some more information about it. So, most movies that we watch are examples of narrative filmmaking. They are works of fiction and tell made up stories about characters, about events, all that things. So even films that are based on actual events are carefully crafted stories that made to seem real or possible. As as we see all these stories that we see, they are trying to make it real. There are types of cinemas, on the other hand, that apply entirely different rules with their filmmaking. Okay? Experimental films reject techniques and goals of narrative filmmaking, aiming to evoke a specific mood or specific thoughts or emotion, and documentary films may borrow from the narrative techniques of fiction films, but instead of inventing their stories and characters, they seek them out in a real world and the real world. These filmmaking styles both have their own histories, both have their own methods, both have their own major figures, let's say in this way, and they interact with the fictional narrative movies we are used to watching in and like interesting ways. Okay, so the experimental films covers all kinds of movies from short and features to films with like storylines and those that reject narrative together. No story, no setting, and no characters. Sometimes experimental films is referred to sometimes of cinema or let's say a real or live cinema. Okay, so we said it started in the 20th century, in the early 20th century, and at that time, the experimental cinema came into its own because it's have these conventions. Audience used the mainstream actions, used to mainstream action movies and romantic comedies might feel confused or even frustrated by non narrative experimental cinema. Some experimental cinema or films are trying to make you feel uncomfortable. Uh, they are trying to test your patience or push you to think more deeply. Other might give you like beautiful abstraction or all these types of feelings. The things that bind these songs together is that they refuse to bound by typical rules of telling a story. The first major films movement, these types of films, the experimental films movement, and the arts began to appear in Europe in 1920. Just a narrative feature films were asserting themselves as a commercial form of cinema. At the time, a group of French filmmakers start doing these types of films. Okay, so it started in France, and it started in 1920, and then Rene Claire's in 1924. He had a film 22 minutes long, and it was an experimental film at that time. The same year, another one did another film with these types of films. And after that, another abstract art movement took more approaches. They started to do that and like better ways. And then in 1929, there are another filmmaker. His name is Dali. His last name is Dali. He collaborated on a funny, disturbing film with one director. His last name is Hanel, and this was in 1929. So they used the funny experimental films at that time. In 1940, this year saw the arrival of American filmmaker. The last name Darren. Her name is Maya. So in 1940, the American filmmaker Maya, who believed that film was meant to create an experience, not to tell a story. She started that. So her film Measures of the Afternoon and another film, Meditation on Violence. Did you hear about these films before, Julian?
Repeat that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Repeat it.
Did you hear about these films for Maya Deren, the American filmmaker, Meditation on Violence?
No.
Okay, I will add the link for that film. Okay,
Okay.
so she believed that we have to have experimental films, and in 1940, she had this film and another film, and uh, she put the viewers into expecting a story with some narrative film techniques, only to move into the abstract shots and cuts that make it possible to understand what is happening. That because the point isn't to understand the film, but rather feel it. Okay? And then in 1950 and 1980, uh, Breakage did a film, and he found unusual techniques to create abstract imagery, from physically painting or scratching the film to using multiple exposures and rapid movement to add the movement of the human eye. After that, a Canadian filmmaker, Madden, he did also these types of films. And after that, there is David Lynch, the mind behind the Blue Velvet and True Peaks. He had a film, uh, also experimental films. So there are a great history behind these films. There are wide history behind these films, but right now people are doing great films and they all explaining mental health issues, all that things together. Okay, so what we will have for this week, we will have a short discussion about your idea of the film, what type of technique that you are going to use, what message are you going to send. If you are going to use images, if you are going to use videos, all these things together. Okay? Do you have any question, Julian?
None so far.
Okay, I'm going to add, I'm not sure if they are 7 links from YouTube about these types of films, just like a nice idea of films. So I want you to look at it to get more ideas about what you are going to do. And next week, we are going to start adding some effects with After Effects. When you have your idea this week, just explain. You will have a week to think about it. Even if you cannot get the idea about what effects that you are going to add, we can discuss that later. We have no problem. We still have a time until week 10. Okay? Thank you
Gotcha.
so much, Julian, for being here. If you have any question, just let me know at any time. Okay?
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great evening.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.